don't know which camera to look at. There's all of them. Look at them.
Action cameras.
I know. We've done that thing again where I just started talking and not done a proper introduction. It's just...
We don't need to. Oh, that one's trying to track us. It's got like a little square and everything.
Oh, no. I feel like you're about to get EMP'd in Call of Duty.
So if I point, I get square out of my head. That's strange.
I've got to go through and try and edit all this so it makes sense for the kid's camera now. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the second edition.
I'm happy with that. Hello. Oh. It's not the traditional hello.
Yeah.
I want to hear the.
I'll make it sound like a sports car. Just That's fine.
Right.
I can't do it. You do this to me every time.
I do. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'll be good.
Okay. Right. Well, hello and welcome back to the channel. Is that good? Okay, good. This is the second edition of, I can't remember what I'm calling my podcast. I'm pretty sure it was the Malt Barrel Podcast, but
it was
there you go. And the second edition, it's come a lot quicker than expected because John here from Lord's Brewing Co. happened to be in my fair town of Nottingham today delivering beer, and he rang me up and said, "Are you free for a tea or coffee?" And I said, "Even better, are you free for a podcast?" And here we are. So, typically, I'm not very prepared. But the question that I feel like I'm going to start opening most of these with is, in your own words, who are you and what has brought you to this point in time that you're sat talking nonsense with me in front of some cameras?
My name's Paul, and I'm Ginger, and I have a beer review channel called Paul's Beer Reviews. No, not really. My name's John. I'm from Lord's Brewing Company. How I ended up here is because I started a brewery in 2015, and as time has gone on, it's grown and grown and grown, but we had a pandemic, which was really annoying.
That was inconvenient.
It was, and I was sat on thousands of litres of beer, and I was like, no one's heard of us. I'm going to go on YouTube for my own sanity to just do something. And we turned everything into small pack, and we had a YouTube channel, we never did anything with it.
Okay.
So then we started making videos, and I think the first thing we did was me and Lydia started doing a quiz on a Thursday night.
As many people did.
Yeah.
Okay.
It started with a few people in, and then by the end of when we kind of knocked it on the head because we felt people were getting quizzed out, we were like anywhere between 80 and 100 people in.
Wow.
So which is a lot.
Yeah.
So for us anyway.
Yeah.
For
sure.
And then I got to know Paul and Simon and yourself and Mark and loads of other beer YouTubers, and there's a lot of people on here, and there's certain people that you have an affinity to.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's normal.
It's really strange, like.
Well, I was about to say
we've almost got the same glasses.
I was about to say I started off thinking, right, John's coming, so I'm going to wear my Lord's Brewing Co. t-shirt. It's just to be nice and on brand. Then he arrived and he was like, "Oh, I bought a check shirt, a plaid shirt, because we're going on your channel." I'm like, "Yeah, I do always wear the check shirt." So I was like, "That's cool." Then I realised that you recently required glasses, and they are almost identical. They are the same brand. They are near enough.
They are nearly the
They're enough identical. So
I'm looking at myself in the screen behind you. If you're wondering why I'm not looking at the camera, and do you know it's really strange because I wear sunglasses. I've got quite a few pairs of Oakley sunglasses, and now none of those are any good.
I was in the same boat.
Yeah, Kobe has now got a really nice pair of fancy Oakleys. He's like the only kid. So we went to the park and he saw his mates, and he was like there with his Oakleys, and the kids have no idea. And then the parents like, "Kobe has Oakleys." So I was like, "No, I had nothing to do with it." But
he stole them because I can't use them anymore.
But the weird thing is, I've also noticed when I have my sunglasses on, I do strange things with my eyes. Like if I want to look at something, I'll stare because no one can see your eyes. Because if I want to look at it and I want to, I can be here and look over there.
And that's called a peeping John.
Yeah, but you kind of look at something and you think, "Oh, what are they doing?" And you can be covert with sunglasses, and then you can't. Because it's the same. I feel like I'm looking at it, and then you see someone and they look at you like they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "I'm staring at you, aren't I?" It's really awkward.
What we've learned from this is don't trust John in sunglasses. I think it's true. There you go.
It's when I'm watching people work I don't know if people are like people
I
watchers.
think you might have saved that with the word work there. That's good.
Yes. Yes, that is. Let's be clear about this. But it's true. You know, when somebody's doing something and you just think, is that the way to do it? That's
Is that
not
right?
the way to do it. Should I step in and say something? No, it's none of my business. And
Yeah.
it goes around like that.
Yeah.
That's how my
Fair.
mind works.
Nice. We got from who are you to in the intricacies of wearing sunglasses and needing a prescription. That's a good tangent. I like that. You may notice this is 2 in a row now where I've done a beer-based podcast or beer and whiskey-based podcast, and no beer or whiskey has been present. We both had a pint of water. John was very thirsty after delivering many, many barrels of beer around the fair city here. But we are going to break that now because John has brought with him a gift.
I have.
It is a beer that I've never tried before, and mine is a tiny sip. You've also never tried before, and it's your own beer.
Yes. So
So,
there's a big story with this beer as well.
is there? Excellent. Big stories are what long format content are for, so this should go very well. Would you like to kick off the story while I acquire this very nice, large, what are we calling it?
It's a massive growler.
Yes, Post Selector.
So you can actually undo the top.
Oh, God, I feel like it's going to explode.
Yeah, be very careful because this has been jiggled, and I might have brimmed it. I did brim it actually. So this was meant to be our Pilsner. Ooh.
It's all right, you keep talking.
It's meant to be our Pilsner. And we were told to try a new fancy pants yeast. Hey, it's all right. It didn't go and it's not really different for any other reason, specific reason, other than it's meant to speed the process of making Pilsner up. So we used it.
Okay.
We started lagering it, and we weren't happy with it because it doesn't taste like our Pilsner.
So was it Quebec yeast or was it something else?
It's something else. It tastes more ale-y, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So then we thought, well, let's lager it a bit more, and then let's add some mad amounts of hops to it.
What ABV is this beer?
This is 5.
Okay.
So it's been dry hopped.
Interesting.
And technically, it's a lager.
Because it's been through that longer
Process.
aging and maturing,
I could tell you what hops are in it,
but you forgot.
but I've forgotten. I know that we went mad because we had some Yakima Chief stuff. I think it's actually got American, and I put some, I want to say it was Southern Cross in it as well.
It does look very nice. It's got that kind of lager chill to it.
Oh, yeah.
You can definitely see that. So what's this called?
1.21 gigawatts.
That's easy to remember when you send your mate to the bar.
It is, yeah. I did a whole
Can I have
video.
the 197 bibberflops, please?
I did a whole video on like how not to pronounce it. I have one of those 5 abs. You know,
5 abs.
Yeah, once you've had enough. So
That smells very nice. That's like really.
It really should be in a lager glass as well, technically. It doesn't matter.
Never win. Can never win.
No, it's all right.
I keep pouring non-lager things into lager glasses recently, and then it all going everywhere. So I'm just playing it safe.
No, you do. It doesn't matter. It looks much darker on camera.
It always does. It always does.
Really.
I think people think
quite
I'm mad
pale.
when I'm like reviewing a beer. I'm like, it's nice red, and it just looks pitch black.
Yeah,
Like,
no, this is like properly lager colour.
deep gold.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
like Helle's colour, isn't it? It's got like a peach and melon thing going.
Yeah, it has, yeah.
Very nice. We're not going to do a full beer review of this 1.21 gigaflops, but gigawatts.
Oh,
Sorry.
it smells very nice. It's got like a lemongrassy smell to it. Which I'm not a fan of lemongrass flavour in a beer, but I can smell it.
Interesting. So here we go.
Yeah,
Cheers.
so boy.
Cheers, everyone. I don't know what style it's meant to be. Like as a blind, obviously I know the story of how it came about. But if someone was like, "What style is this?" I'd be like, "I don't really know, but it's very tasty."
Bonkers, isn't it?
That's really good. That is
Like,
exceptionally good. That's like
wow.
you've got all that kind of nice lager malt thing and the refreshing element, but then you've got this. Basically, I'm going to say something I kind of normally go against, which is this feels like a hops lager or a IPL or a cold IPA or however you want to phrase that. I normally hate that beer style because I just think you don't get enough of the lager.
Yeah.
Normally, it's just like you just made an IPA, called it something else because you did it in a different way, but it still, in essence, tastes like a grapefruit. This doesn't. This has got that proper beer malt bite, the full kind of yes, the full
Wow.
thing.
I'm amazed how. So, Mike and Steve, I shouldn't be so like, I'm surprised how good this is, but this is really good.
That is
Buy this beer, people.
buy it.
You can't get it in small pack. This would be good in can, though.
It would. That would be really good in a can. Well, go get down your local and buy some 1.21 gigawatts, and go into your local if they've not got it and say, "Can you please acquire some Lords Brewing Co. 1.21 gigawatts?" I realise we've gone through this entire chat probably without saying the words Lords Brewing Co. to this point. Oh, except when I uploaded the T-shirt.
Yeah, and then
So the brewery in question of all this is Lords Brewing Co.
It is.
Currently based in Goldcar, just outside of Uddersfield, North Yorkshire. Gurkha.
If you're from Huddersfield, it's
Gurkha.
Gurkha.
So how do you order a meal from a kind of tangent of Indian cuisine?
How do I? Well, like, well, literally down in our town as well, in Huddersfield.
There is a Gurkha.
There's Gurkha Sizzler, which
Gurkhas.
is
So the
Nepalese
Gurkha.
What? But that's not in Gurkha.
It's not
Huddersfield.
Fair enough.
Paddock, actually. Is it Paddock? Yeah, I think it's classed as Paddock.
Okay, very good. Big fan of the Gurkha cuisine. We've got one nearby. It is the best South Asian in the area by far. It's very nice.
In fact, many years ago, I lived in a place called Worthing, and they had a Nepalese takeaway / restaurant, and that was really good as well. I've never had a bad Nepalese restaurant.
No, thinking about it,
ever.
The consistency is there.
Yeah, it's really good.
There. Interesting.
There we go. We've solved something.
We've solved something.
Yeah.
In my normal professionalism, I'm now going to consult the list of questions that I had written down in my phone because I'm not very good at remembering things.
He's so much more organised than me. I'm like, turn up and have a go, and Cromie is much more like, let me write a list. Let me just get organised.
Okay, I've got a series of questions, and I'm going to have to keep looking back because I'm not very good at remembering. I've not got to the point yet where I've got a fancy off-screen thing with prompts because that would be helpful, but we're not there yet. But this is one thing I do want to know. What would you say to someone? What piece of advice, that sort of thing, would you give someone right now looking to set up their own brand new brewery in 2023?
Don't do it.
I had a sneaking suspicion.
I always say that though. I think it's really important, right? I'm gonna get my business head on here. You've got to work out the kind of person that you are. So there's three. What I've learned, I know this is totally my own opinion. There's three types of people in business. So you've got creatives, you've got engineers, and you've got, I would say, entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
So those three all have their own character traits. So an entrepreneur, I'm definitely in that category, is like, tomorrow we're selling beer to the moon. And we'll take huge risks against all odds, and quite often fails. I've failed in business before. I've made mistakes along the way. But entrepreneurs tend to aim quite high, and they might get somewhere further down.
Yeah.
And you need entrepreneurs. I think Britain's got more entrepreneurs than anywhere. You think about how many small businesses are in the UK. We love it.
Yeah.
So then there's downfalls with an entrepreneur. It can be pig-headed, massive risk taker, not necessarily organised. Then you've got, on the flip side, creatives they make a beautiful product, and they want everybody to share in that, and they find it hard to charge the right money for it.
Right.
They give a lot. They have a lot of friends. So an entrepreneur, his biggest buzz is having money in his pocket. A creative's biggest buzz is people enjoying the thing that they've created.
Yeah.
So that is a clash straight away.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got the engineer, and the engineer is someone who gets really excited about systems. Now, I watched a pitch where somebody was pitching to investors a while ago. And one of them had this really cool company, and it was so exciting what he was doing. And it was all to do with using drones to inspect properties.
Okay, interesting.
Fantastic. And he went through this whole thing explaining about pilot's licenses and all the stuff that he had and the systems and how it downloaded and blah, blah, blah. You can see the investors were completely lost because they're not bothered. They just want to know how much money you're going to make.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it all, so they opened up the questions. And then one of the questions was, so have you got any contracts? And he said, oh, yeah, the Church of England. Now, he should have started with that as his pitch.
It's a lot of buildings.
That is a lot of buildings. So he should have.
Incidentally, each and every one of them need a new roof.
Exactly, yeah. So he's basically the pitch. You could see what he got excited about was the systems.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would say to somebody, so I've told you all this. So each one has its strengths and weaknesses, but you need all elements. So on a brewery, it tends to be creatives. And the hard bit is for a creative is they want to use the best ingredients, the most expensive. They are quite moody, and they and then don't necessarily want to be doing lots of graft.
Okay,
you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So what you've got to do, and the entrepreneur doesn't really care about making the beer. I know it sounds really awful. I like our beer to be right because I want to be proud of the product that we've got.
Yeah.
But I have brewed maybe, I don't know, 10 times. I hate it. I'm the apprentice. It's like going back in the motor trade when I was an apprentice and I get shouted at.
Yeah.
And I feel like a big fat wobbly annoyance.
Do you think that's normal in the brewing industry? Because I always thought like you'd kind of start off with a home brewer, someone gets interested in it, goes into some competitions, wins something. That competition may or may not allow it, like kind of a single beer there to become commercially viable through a different brewery. That happens a lot, right?
Yeah.
And then that person goes on, creates their own brewery if they're particularly good, and walks. And then that original brewer is the business owner, the founder, the everything.
Yeah.
Whereas in your case, you don't really do that. How normal is that for the person? And I don't mean like in the instances where breweries have been bought out, because that's a different that's a business exchange. But
if you want to buy our brewery, it's always for sale. Feel free, get in contact. John@lordsbrewing.com.
But how normal is it for a small brewery that hasn't been bought or owned by a larger company for the guy that owns it not to be a brewer?
You normally find quite often there's two models that I see. So you've got and this goes back to that thing. You've got to decide. You've got to work out the person that you are and what you want to do.
Yeah.
And if you're creative, I would say keep the kit small and do it as a side hustle. Don't do it as a full-time thing.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm burping already, so that's a good sign. On the other side of it, I would say if you're an entrepreneur, you need to find somebody that knows how to make beer rather than. I know some entrepreneurs that had a go and they were going to open this brewery and then they looked at the maths and they were like, oh my gosh, this is horrendous.
Yeah.
So the model I see is creatives, small batch, do it really well. Like super niche, like that mixed firm place that you went to.
Yeah.
Now I bet they're making money.
Project.
I would put money on because they're so ultra niche. There's a bulk of customers that specifically will want that, and they cater straight to that, so they'll sell everything that they make.
Absolutely. And talking to the guy that runs it and owns it at the weekend, his words were basically they were a conventional brewery before this.
Yeah.
They didn't just turn up and go, right, we're making weird beer now, because it is weird, relatively speaking. Delicious, but not your norm. And he was saying they were kind of bored of having to compete with the generic lager, pale, IPA, stout range. Like everyone's doing it. So, and for a reason, that is generally what sells. But if you can find that oddity, then, and he says it's going pretty well. And it looked like it. It was a very nice place. So.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing. The other model is you have somebody that's creative, can make beer, and then you have somebody that backs them.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what we are.
Okay.
So I would say, have a think about it, work out who you are, and also when you look at it, you need to, and I'm saying this through pain, So we've lived this. We've lived this. We're three brother-in-laws that own the company, and we are all of those things, and you all have crossover into it. And I'm sure I'm the most annoying out of all three of us, but that's how it is. So what you have to look at is work out who you are. I don't know why I'm doing this with my hand.
He's
It's like a small horse. That's fine.
For those doing audio only, John's just rummaging his hand. It's probably on all the audio. This
Yeah,
point.
it's probably like
all around the table for
I do
reasons unbeknown to anyone.
Yeah, I would just work out who you are and work out together before you do anything what your actual end goal is. Mine was there were two things. I wanted to do something I really enjoyed, so I love beer, probably too much.
Mm.
The second thing is I want to earn some money, and yeah, I haven't done it, but I'm working on it.
So what we're saying is, if your object is to make some money, maybe brewing at this point in time might not be the.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough time. There's lots of things. There's lots of people in the market. There's loads of good people. There's loads and loads of good people.
That's the problem, though, isn't it? Everyone's so good, which means which is why good breweries go under at this point.
Yeah,
it's got to the point now where breweries that go under don't go under because they're not very good. They go under because of maybe poor finance handling or
I think the biggest
mistakes made or whatever.
Well, I think a lot of why they're going bust now, my guess, is because they picked up a lot of debt during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I'm sure when I look at how much we're still recovering.
Yeah, I'm sure most people are.
So we've just very lucky that we've got really good investors. And basically what happened is we could have picked up loads of debt. We could have gone bust, really. We should have gone bust. But our investors said, we'll just loan you whatever you need. So we lost 300,000, over 300,000, really. That's what it cost us in money.
Mm-hmm.
It probably cost more than that in lost revenue.
Yeah, of course.
And then now we're in a position where we've got huge. I mean, when we got our investment initially, we were at 60% a month growth rate, which is unbelievable,
insane.
Yeah. So now it's nowhere near that. I wish it was, but we still got really good growth rate. So now I'm just putting the team back together. So we've got a new sales guy. We've got another person coming on board, hopefully, who's really, really good. We've got another person that is just doing London because we've opened up London now.
Of course.
So if you want to order beer for your pub in London or bar, you can order it on our seller platform, and tapping will do all the deliveries.
That's interesting because that does bring me on to a question that I did want to know. Because sometimes it's interesting. Obviously, a lot of people listening to this will work in the industry, but also a lot of people just sit there enjoying beer and they're like, how does all the mechanics work? So that is what we'll get onto in a moment.
Okay.
Right then. Before we get onto those questions, more beer, sir. He's going for the other glass. He wants to try it a la lager. You might notice, his own branded glassware, which just so happens to live here.
What do you think of that growler? 11 quid.
You've got a lovely growler, sir.
Thank you.
How much would you like, sir?
Can't do.
It's got to be careful. We've got time to savour, keep it fresh in the growler. So that, if I pick my brain back to where we were a second ago, I think the question that I've always found interesting, and I think others will as well, is obviously as a consumer, as the end customer of beer companies, my journey is either go to a reseller like your local bottle shop or your local supermarket and buy the beer, or come direct to brewery and do either their own kind of walk-in shop or online order to get beer in. When it comes to serving potentially thousands of pubs, how do you do that? Because that's not going to be like, surely you can't just, and you've already alluded to it, I do kind of know the answer to some of it, but I'm a bit more interested in the specifics. But how do you kind of logistically sort out a delivery to a potentially endless amount of locations? Because that's got to be quite, it's just the whole logistics thing I find interesting.
Yeah, so I need a bigger van, so let's preface that. And that's the first thing. And I could do with a pickup truck actually as well. Um,
Big as flying out the back down the motorway.
well, the good bit about a pickup truck is there's no height limit, and when we tend to in the trade you tend to send pallets of 18, whatever it is.
Right.
So you stack them and strap them, and then basically put them in the back of a van. But none of our vans are tall enough, so we bought them because we hadn't really realised how fast things would roll over.
No, of course.
So, and mine is my company vehicle as well. So I've got to fit children in. So I really need something that's a crew cab. So I've got a very nice Vivaro now, racing van, twin turbo.
Everyone has just turned up.
Yeah, everyone's turned up. We could talk about vans and cars all day. So how it works? So locally, we'll kind of do our runs. What we tend to do is we're on the M62 corridor, so we'll service both coasts, coast to coast.
Yeah,
that sounds really good, doesn't it? Coast to coast.
Lord Brinko, coast to coast.
Coast to coast. And we basically have delivery structures of this day we're going to be heading down here. So this run down into Nottingham, we make sure we try and fill a van.
Yeah.
Some months it'll be, well, in fact, last month we had to split it up into multiple vans, just to basically get everything served. The other thing we do is we build up the runs, and then what happens is we get to the point where we can't manage, where we're close to that at the moment.
Okay.
So I'm taking another person on just to do driving.
Yeah.
Steve is now having to brew. Steve can brew in his own right now.
Yeah.
So Steve came on with us, and he was from the military, and he also, I've never seen a driving license full of everything is there apart from buses.
I've got a friend like that. Yeah.
There's a whole story about that.
I've got one of those too. This is interesting.
Have you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so basically, Steve's now learned to brew. He was our delivery guy. Now he's one of our brewers.
Yeah.
But now I need another delivery guy. I feel like this is a pattern that might be recurring. Okay. But what happens is we'll build an area up, we'll make it really good, and then we'll hand those customers to a good wholesaler.
Okay.
So then what happens is I hand them over to a wholesaler. So, for instance, down here, I work with Small Beer.
Okay.
Who are fantastic. Neil, you're a legend, if you see this. Small Beer are brilliant. They've dealt with us for years. And if we get anything, we'll just hand them over and build it up that way. And then we've just taken Pivovar on.
Okay.
And they're going to hopefully help us with the sort of East Coast going up to the Northeast. And also LWC, we do a lot with them. They help us. So at the moment, that's what we're trying to do. So we basically do that. And then we have a whole other system, which is called Cellar.
Okay.
So Cellar allows us to, anybody can order beer on our platform who's a business, and they can, in fact, our illustrious friend, Mr. Paul, from Creative Juices, Paul's Beer Reviews, just put that on the channel. He's a really good brewery, and he's just ordered 2 kegs of beer, and it came through on the system. I set it up on you. Literally did it here, didn't I?
You were just before we hit record.
Yeah, I booked it in on UPS to deliver the kegs, and it's all automatically done, and it'll go out, and we get a really good price, and they get a really good price because the seller don't take any money from us at all, because we pay a monthly subscription, which is still reasonable, and it's fantastic. So we do that, and anybody, any platform can order on that. Then we have, so that's the second sort of part of it.
Yeah.
Then on top of that, then we have our chains, so pub chains.
Okay, right.
So we now supply Green King. We've tendered for Marston's. We supply Wetherspoons, but they have their own exclusive range because of the prices.
Cheaper.
It is cheaper, but I tell you what, like silly as it sounds, it's how you approach that. So back in the day, we worked with them. It didn't work out. I went back, had a look at how we do it, and we've created some beers that we've kind of reined back certain ingredients, but you'll still get a really good pint of Lord's Brewing Co. beer, but it won't be our usual stuff that's like epic.
Right.
I'm saying that like we do loads of epic like mad beers. We don't really, but this is pretty epic.
This is pretty epic.
And considering this has literally been poured out of a tap into a growler, it's been jiggled around everywhere.
The conditioning is spot. I mean, mine's been in the glass now for about 45 minutes, so it's obviously going to start to sit a bit. As soon as little spin around, and all of a sudden, you've got yourself something that looks very nice indeed. That is genuinely really. That's probably one of my favourite beers you've done now. Just straight away,
even, right up there, isn't it?
Yeah, that is like, yeah.
So we have the wholesale side of it. Sorry, the pub chain side of it.
Yeah.
And we have Stonegate as well. So, but Stonegate. So most people don't know this. Wetherspoons don't order their beer.
Interesting.
They have a non-profit company called East West Ales.
Okay.
So you buy through. They deal with all the logistics and basically they're really good to deal with. Actually,
okay, that's good to know.
They're nice people. We have a good bit of banter on the phone as well, and yeah, I really like them. So I can work with them. I'm happy, and they always pay on time. And recently we had some bills that went up. I mean, my electric bill can be anywhere between. If you're at home and you moan about your electric and your gas being expensive, I spent £2,240 on electric alone the other month.
Ouch.
Yeah.
To be fair, you are operating the world's largest kettles.
It's true. Yeah.
But yes, it's pricey.
It's well expensive. And yeah, we had an increase on something else, and they gave us the increase.
Oh,
very good. Submitted it. And same with Stonegate. You can they tender through a company called the Beer Company.
Okay.
There's been a lot of drama recently about audits through SEMA. That's a really interesting one, actually.
Okay. But most people have just gone to sleep at the word audits.
Yeah.
So make it interesting. Come on. What's happening?
Right. So when you deal with bigger companies and chains, you really need to get organised. This is another thing. If you're thinking of doing it yourself,
yeah,
you need to. If you really need to get things right, so that when the customer has a beer, not actually putting them at risk.
Yes.
So that is super important.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, what we did is we've got some software that manages the whole brewery. I could tell you, if I looked on my phone now, I can tell you the farm and the field the grain was grown.
That's good. That's cool.
Yeah, all the way back. And let's say we had this and it turned out that there was a problem with that crop. We could recall everything and we know exactly where every product was sold.
I know that that's probably something that happens across the board in all food and drink and everything at this point in time because technology now is what it is. But that's still quite mind-blowing that you can pinpoint there's the potential that you could probably pinpoint not only where but the individual fields that the raw ingredients that came from, which is a little bit mind-blowing really, isn't it?
Well, it's got to be done if you want it to do it right.
Yeah.
And all those systems, and like there's a lot of good breweries that I know, and they've got the same as us.
Yeah.
And if you want to grow and you want to serve more customers, now, I'm going to upset a whole bunch of people now. There's craft beer lovers, and then there's everyone else.
Oh no, you're totally. You're totally right.
So basically, craft beer, it's very difficult to make a lot of money out of just doing beer for just craft beer lovers. Unless you've been really lucky and you've made a name for yourself, you really have to kind of
get on the hype train.
Well, look, we've got Black Isle here on this lovely thing, and they're advertising their blonde. Now, we do a blonde called Expedition Blonde. That is our second best-selling beer. It used to be our most best-selling beer until we made lager.
That's interesting. And that is a lager. It's not actually a blonde beer. It's
really?
A blonde lager. It's just a slightly heavier.
Well, there you go. So yeah.
For those, and again, for the benefit of anyone not watching the screen, it's my bar runner that's on here. I feel like I've got one up here, and I've got the same one on the wall behind me.
It's
I
nice,
noticed
bro.
they are very nice. I bought one and then got gifted one. Thought, well, I want to use both. But I always feel like because it's always here, people are like, oh, Black Eye must have asked him to put that on there or something
Well,
like
do you
that.
know what the mad bit is? I never heard of them until I met you,
Until I started.
and then I've started drinking their beers.
Oh, it's so
Honestly,
good.
I'll buy
It's
it.
so good. But no, if anyone else has got any, you know what? That's what small breweries don't have a lot of.
No,
Big bar runners. I'd love a chunky one, but
they're a
they're
fortune
yeah.
made.
yeah, they're really nice. But all the breweries have them are like Tiny Rebel and stuff. And look, whilst they don't, no, I'm not saying all their beer is terrible. I don't feel like I want it
Yeah,
on
I know
pride
what you
of
mean.
place. Whereas Black Isle, yeah, I do have a proper
I've
affinity
got some
for.
very nice London Pride ones.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've got some
Interesting. A
nice
bit of the
ones.
retro
I
ones.
stole them at a beer festival.
He was given them at a beer festival.
I literally went up and just took them off the bar as they were packing up, and he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I want these," and he went, "All right."
He was okay.
He laughed.
Given by force.
Yeah, he just laughed. No, so yeah, go back to the audit. Sorry. So what happened is SEBA. There's something called an FSQ, which is basically SEBA come. They send a guy. He comes and moans at you about everything you're doing wrong and checks all your paperwork, which is exactly what you want. And basically, what happened was there's been some stuff in the background, and something's not gone right. And another company, a big chain, I won't say who they are, were like, "Can we see everybody's FSQs?" And most of the breweries thought they had it, and it turned out they hadn't been completed.
Oops.
And it wasn't the brewery's fault. It was like some sort of communication breakdown. It's resulted in another outsider has come in and created a whole new audit,
Oh,
and
that
it
sounds tedious.
half the price
Oh, that's better.
and gives you a lot more customers.
Oh.
So, and could be a good road to a further audit, which is called Salsa, which allows you
Spicy.
to export. So
Ah.
it and there's like it doesn't sound like a lot. I've made it sound kind of.
This is one of those things where someone watching who's in the industry is going to be going, "Tell me more." Tell me
Yeah,
more."
yeah,
And everyone else is going to be going, "Are they going to talk about beer and like growlers again yet?" 'Cause
yeah,
that was fun.
yeah,
But yes, that's
yeah. So
that's
all
that's
sorts of
interesting.
trouble has kicked off this thing.
Interesting.
Very,
Interesting.
very angry people.
Interesting. I'm going to try and pull it back now to the
Yeah,
people
go on.
that may not have so much of an industry interest. This is a question I asked Mark last time on episode 1, but I would like to ask it to you as well. And you can interpret this in any way you like, but it's simply, what changes would you like to see in the UK beer scene as a whole in the next 12 months? And again, there's no, you can take any spin on that. You can.
What changes would I like to see in the next 12 months? Ooh, I don't know. It'd be nice to. What would I like to see? This is a really difficult question.
Yeah, but again, it can be from a business perspective. It can just be personally. I like X style, so I want that to become in trend. Or, it could be anything. It could be I just want the price of this to fall.
Here's
Whatever.
a fun idea. Just a fun idea.
Yes.
I'll throw it out there. Could you imagine if every pub in the UK had to have one hand pump and one keg pull from a local brewery?
Oh. I mean, all the ones I go in do, but
Yeah,
there'll be loads that don't. So I would be, yeah. I mean,
the legal thing.
Yeah.
You can have a chain of pubs,
yeah,
but you must have one keg pump, and one hand pump, and you have to
From
rotate
within-
that through local brewery.
from within,
30 miles.
yeah.
That'd be great.
That'd be grand.
That would do.
That would be.
And
Yeah.
I think actually people would probably appreciate.
Yeah.
See, the silly bit is that's what Wetherspoons effectively do.
Oh yeah.
Most people don't realise.
Mm.
I'm sticking up for Wetherspoons here quite a lot. But...
Whilst yes, not necessarily a fan of their business practices in terms of their staff and how they take out local independence and all that sort of stuff. I've heard a lot recently, not just from yourself, where I'm like, okay, they seem to be doing some good things for quality small brewers, which I can't hate on. So I'm not saying they're good. I'm not saying it's all bad. It's not all bad. I think it's probably
not all bad. I'd rather deal with them than Brewdog.
Well, I think I've reached my limit on things I'm allowed to say about Brewdog on the internet. So we're just gonna I'm just going to leave it at that. But yes, indeed, me too. Me too.
I'm really conflicted because I've just opened a new bar. Well, I'm opening a new bar. Got the lease today, and it's 100 feet from the Brewdog bar.
Why are you conflicted? It's got to be a good thing.
Because my mate, my really good mate of mine in the trade, is now running their bar.
Well, but you've been working on that premises for months, so
It's true.
it's his fault. He's
So
he's treading on your toes, not the other way.
It's literally
It's up you had to-
Weatherspoons, one independent, Brewdog,
Yeah.
us.
Okay. Nice.
But we're right opposite the uni.
It's going to be a good. It's going to be a good. So this is in Huddersfield.
It's going to be a right brawl, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. But for those interested, once it opens, Huddersfield University.
You're literally opposite the doors.
Is it called Huddersfield University?
Yeah. It used to be a polytech, didn't it?
Yeah, it used to be.
It's not now.
Okay.
It's like proper.
I went to a swimming pool, so I'm allowed to say.
It's had its stabilisers taken.
Excellent.
It's a proper uni.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Oh, I look forward to coming up when it opens because I think that's going to be. That's going to be good. It's going to be good. But there's also you've got to make sure the right beers are on at the right time. Otherwise, people will just disappear into Wetherspoons and Brewdog. So it's a bit of a. It requires you to be on top of your game.
It does. That's why I'm friends with you guys.
We'll tell you what to.
Exactly. You need to put this on. The good bit is we've got lots of beers that we can go through that are our own. The best bit is because we make the beer, we can control the price. I could match Wetherspoons' prices on a student night, maybe.
Okay. Interesting. That'd be interesting to see what other breweries you put on. Interestingly, we were talking about the Little Earth project earlier, where I went last weekend. Their rotations of other breweries were impressive. Let's put it that way.
That's one of the things we want to do. And in case you didn't know, a lot of if you're a brewery and you have a bar, what we do is we swap.
Yeah.
That's right. And then we swap them at like a nominal cost of 50 quid or something. And then basically we cancel each other's.
Yeah.
In fact, it's more than 50 quid now because everything's gone up in price. Yeah. But basically, we cancel each other's invoice out.
Yeah.
And then that allows us to have somebody else's beer at the production cost.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. Interesting.
So we should have loads of.
There you go. And I know you don't have an opening date yet because it's still very early days, but roughly?
So the lease came through literally about an hour before I got here. So
nothing like timing.
Yeah, so I reckon that'll be signed off mid next week, and we should have the keys on.
Okay.
And then I reckon I'm going to cane it. I want 6 weeks to.
6 weeks. Okay, so we're talking 7-8 weeks. It's probably going to be 6 weeks from this when this gets released. So keep an eye out. And if this gets lagged for some reason, then I'll let you know if it's already open. But there we go. Good stuff. Head over to Huddersfield for that one. Just to stoke the fire, really, a little bit. What's the most overrated style of beer, in your opinion?
Overrated style?
Doesn't it mean it has to be bad or you don't like it? Just like, I don't really know why it's so prominent or so excited or everything else.
Overrated. When I go to a pub that... Well, no. I think I'm going to upset another bunch of people. The word blonde.
Oh.
The British blonde beer.
British blonde beer.
I think... So it comes out of people knowing how to pronounce beers who are maybe not beer heads.
Okay.
This is my personal view. We made Expedition Blonde, and it was called originally Expedition Pale Ale, because really, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And we can sell it.
Is that a regional thing? 'Cause I don't feel like a blonde would sell here over a pale.
Well, go back to 2015.
Of course. Okay. Right.
So what happened is we then changed that to blonde. Yeah. It became our best-selling beer.
Wow.
The recipe never changed. It was the same beer.
Yeah. It's all in the name.
It's all in the name. And that you hear somebody go to the bar, oh, I love blondes, mate. Love it. And you, oh, I know a lot about blonde beer. I know how. And you think, no, you don't. You don't know anything at all. You haven't a clue. And then I hear the same thing now. That's transferred a little bit into IPA.
Yeah.
So, I love how IPAs make. And it's like, well, that is such a wide spectrum.
Such a broad, yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like I just feel like a lot of those things annoy me. There's probably some diehards as well that are like, no, an IPA is this. Well, I agree with you, it probably is. But
Probably.
if you can't sell it,
At some point in time, it was at least.
yeah, if you can't sell the blooming thing,
Yeah.
because it's not
fair.
named right,
Fair.
that's what gets my goat.
Okay.
I think everything just goes in cycles. So we made West Coasts, and then Nipas came in, and we were like really late to the game with Nipa. By the time we brought our Nipa out, and it looked like pond water as well because it was that full
Most
of
do.
hops.
Most do.
Yeah. On camera, it literally looks oxidized. It just looks awful.
You're talking about fish cans?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just as
It
dreadful,
was
isn't it?
thick with 2 C's.
Oh yeah. And so what happens is, yeah, when we brought that out, I mean, we sold everything that we had, but the market had already got fatigue from that.
Yeah.
But then when West Coast, I saw a West Coast pop up, and I was like, oh yeah, we know what to do with that because we've done loads.
Yeah.
Bosh, straight out. We've done a beer called Sunshine State, which has the Vanishing Point Dodge Challenger. Another excuse to put a car in a pond.
There is a theme there.
Yeah. And that literally, we're trying to make it in keg. And the reason we haven't brought it out in keg is because every single time we make it in cask, it is already sold before it hits the cold room.
You can't do much about that. You can
Gone.
sell it, just keep
Yeah.
selling it. Yeah.
So,
And I'm sure it's very good on cask.
yeah, it is good. It's really, really good. But I think it's a fad. So,
yeah, probably.
people will get ever so fed up with the piney resonance, and then they'll go back again.
True. And cost of everything at the minute will probably impact what they go back to as well. I think.
Yeah.
Interestingly, it's not out yet, but it will be by the time this video goes out. Is a review of your Moggy Rye PA that I did a few days ago, and I kind of stipulated in that or suggested that this might be a blueprint for interesting but affordable beer going forward, because it is distinctly full-bodied and interesting, but it's only 3% with the new duty stuff coming in, all that stuff. I was like, I think there's some ground to be had under that style, using rye, using other malts to try and spice it up a bit, literally in rye's case, that is different and maybe doesn't have the same premium attached to it as traditional barley and hops. So,
and also rye is really hard to deal with because everything ends up tasting like rye Vita biscuits, and we didn't want that.
No, you don't.
So the whole point was I'm not saying I tried many rye beers, but in my experience of trying beers that are made with rye, they often taste like rye Vita.
What was the percentage of rye?
I can't remember, to be honest.
Okay.
So that was an overriding thing for us. That could we make a rye beer that didn't taste like rye Vita?
Okay. I'll be interested to know post podcast anyway. What if you can find out? Just because rye's used a lot in American whiskey, which I have a great affinity for, and looking at mash bills for whiskey and how those percentages kind of come across into a different experience. So yeah, I just wondered if it was anywhere near what they use in whiskey, or whether it's a totally different thing. But yeah, it will be interesting to know.
Interesting to know. Show you the recipe on my phone.
I look forward to it. One other thing I did want to ask about was brewery collabs.
Yes.
I've always found it fascinating.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you get like what I'm going to call obvious ones, like I'm trying to think of an obvious one now, but you know what I mean, like
Magic Rock and Salt.
Exactly. Yeah. Two kind of supermarket breweries coming together to do a thing. Yeah. Northern Monk have done a load. Vocation have done, and Vocation and Brew York. There's this classic example, pairing. Right? And I kind of want to understand. I reckon this changes probably depending on the size of the brewery, but also sometimes you get wildly weird ones where like Omnipollo have done a collab with Emperor's Brewery. Right. Now that one's a little bit different because he is so good at his very niche thing.
Yeah.
But there's more examples of that where massive, internationally known brewer goes and picks up tiny someone else and does a collab with him. Castle Rock here in Nottingham did it with a tiny brewery in the US recently.
I went past their tap room.
You did, yes,
Yeah.
the Bat and Fiddle. You'd have
Yeah,
driven
cool.
past it. Yeah, it's very nice in there. I'm always just like, where do those oddities come from, and what's the benefit for both breweries? I understand the benefit from the smaller one always because it's a name exposure, but from the big one, where's the?
So we haven't done a lot
Okay.
because I try and strong arm every brewery that I ever meet to do a collab with us. But we've just recently done one with Magic Rock, Beer Inc.,
Yeah.
Three Fiends. It's like the mega collab, and Mallingtons.
You've done a collab with Magic Rock.
Yeah.
Do they know how many things you said about them?
Yeah. I love to wind them up. No, but to be fair on Magic Rock now, they've been bought out.
They have new owners.
So much better.
Yeah.
I mean, it got so bad.
Yeah.
The line had it, and I've heard some inside stories from people that work there of horrific things. So, for instance, this beer that you make all the time, these are your new ingredients, and they're like, but that doesn't go in that beer. They're like, but we buy this cheaper, so that's what you're putting in it. Yeah. So now it's going back to great beer.
Okay.
So I went in their tap room recently, and I've been a few times actually. Despite that's why I poke fun at them. And I had the non-alcoholic beer, and it was probably one of the best I've ever had.
Okay, impressive.
Yeah.
It's not an easy thing to do.
No, it isn't an easy thing. So if you ever want to measure a brewery by their skills, try a non-alcoholic one.
Non-alcoholic beer, straight up lagers.
Yeah, straight up lagers. Lagers are hard, man.
Yeah.
People don't realise how difficult they are to make. But yeah, so from the point of view of the benefit, I guess we've had a conversation with Magic Rock, a fleeting one at a beer festival, where I was trying to convince them that they should do one, because now I think they're considered macro, and then the whole line thing didn't do them any favours. And I'm like, why don't you do a beer with us?
Okay.
And then we'll do it together. And they were actually, they're kind of like, yeah, it sounds quite good. So the idea will be, the benefit for me is I'm tiny.
Yeah.
And I might be able to get a beer, my brand, on a little can in the supermarket.
Yeah.
Or on a bigger, wider area if we do it on a keg. And for them, the benefit is they're working with small brewers to create something interesting, and they're kind of building the trade.
And repositioning their brand a bit away from that nearly macro big boy thing to a bit more grounded, a bit more genuinely craft.
Yeah, that's exactly
okay. So a lot of it could be.
But I also know that supermarkets dictate collabs.
Oh, well.
So what they do is they look at, supermarkets all about data. So they monitor all the companies and what they're doing. And then they go, hey, you're on trend, they're on trend. Right, you need to make a beer together.
Interesting.
And we want you to make something in this kind of style. What's your ideas? They say what it is, do the contract, and they might make anywhere between 5 and 20p a can.
Okay. Well, we learned something.
Yeah.
Interesting. I've now forgotten the rest of my question, so allow me to go back to my professionalism.
No, sorry.
Facts, yeah.
At this point, you need to say, the more you know.
While we're on the subject of supermarket beer,
and
I have to read this off the page because it's a longer one. I meant to ask Mark this last time and we never got to it, which was, right, so this is, the kind of preface for this question is best beer, best brewery, but it's not as simple as that. If someone who was well versed in the terms of craft beer styles from supermarkets, so the ones we just talked about, but wasn't aware of any brands outside of that, and wanted to buy a mixed box from a single brewery, and I'm going to stipulate that you can't say yours because it should be yours, but other than that, where are you going to send them if they're not to your own website? One brewery that's particularly impressive, not a supermarket brand.
See,
it doesn't necessarily have to be about the beer either. It could be they're ethically good.
Does it have to be a mixed box? The beers.
Well, they want to try. They don't know much. They're trying it.
Right. Okay. So the problem is, I do like my lagers and my pilsners and my German.
You're the typical brewer who's not actually a brewer.
No, that's right. I mean, I do like it. I just get hot fatigue after a while.
Okay, now we can.
If I was going to do that, if I was going to send somebody, let's say somebody wants to try a proper craft lager or pilsner or something in the UK
Yeah.
that's as close as you can get to maybe what you would experience in Europe, it would have to be Elvington Brewery,
Elvington.
which is
Interesting.
owned by Pivot. There's a video on my channel where I actually
yes.
£1 million
Million
just for the
pound brewery.
brewing kit alone.
That's a few quid.
And the beer is just unbelievably good.
Okay. That's
if I was going to say one brewery for like actual, so you can get a beer journey of all different things that I think does exceptionally well on their beer, I would. Depends on size as well. Let's say if it was little breweries, like proper small,
we class micro,
like proper old school micro. There's a pub in our town called Milltown, or a brewery in our town called Milltown, and they have some pubs.
Yeah.
And he just a small batch for his pubs. That's it. I would say go to him, but you can't buy anything in the small pack. So if you couldn't, Mallingtons of Huddersfield, they're very good.
There you go. There's an answer.
They're really good.
Very good.
Mallingtons, great beer. You won't get a bad one.
Interestingly, I have a recommendation for you off the back of that. As a lager fan, and I'm now trying to remember the name of the brewery, but I've got a new.
I do like Omnipollo stuff. They make some bangers. They're Vienna lagers to die.
I've got a new. Can I even find it? Hold on. Oh no, what was it called? Brayburn. Brayburn. Right, Brayburn make just. I'm sure it's Brayburn. Someone's going to shoot me in the comments now when I've got that wrong. But
not Rayburn. They make boilers.
I'm pretty sure it's. Shall we Google it? We're going to do on the fly information gathering. Make sure this is correct. But if it is, oh no, that's not right. Braybrook.
Oh, Braybrook. I feel like
Braybrook.
I've seen that before.
Yeah, they just do. As far as I've seen, I have because I've been on the website. Just lagers, pilsners, helles, doppelbocks, German stuff.
I'd love to make it.
I've had 2 or 3 of theirs now in different places. Insane. The quality, like it's like being in Bavaria. Like it's insanely good. So I think they might be my new favourite.
Yeah, I'd like to have a go.
Producer, so you should check those out.
I'll have a look
for sure.
This is what happens when I hang out with you guys, and then I did I tell you the San Miguel story?
I don't know. Maybe
it's quite
tell everyone though.
So it was the height of summer last year, and I don't drink San Miguel. It's not very nice in my opinion. But Paul was like, you need to try the imported one.
Yeah.
Completely different.
Yeah.
So I'm like, So anyway, everywhere we went, they all say imported on them.
But not.
Every can.
Yeah, but it's not.
It's not. Or it says export, which it might be export because they're exporting it from the UK when they make it. Anyway, and all I did was kept buying the wrong poxy beer, not enjoying it, and constantly saying to Paul, is this the one? And he's like, no. And I'm like, ugh. And then one day I bought the right one. And he was like, no, that's the wrong one. I was like, what? It can't be. And then he was like, no, it's the right one. And it took me how many months? I think it was months and months and months.
But was it worth it?
Not really.
No, it wasn't.
It was all right.
It's better. But
it's better, but it's like, it's a bit like having a Nissan Qashqai and then like saying, oh, you know what you really need to try?
Yeah.
Is a Nissan Patrol. I mean, the Nissan Patrol's nice.
Yeah.
But it's not great.
Yeah.
Really, what you want is the Skyline.
Yeah. So a bit of a step further away. Yeah. Good analogy. I like that. One thing we've not talked about at all, actually, weirdly, is YouTube.
Yeah.
In any capacity, because you are you are the probably the most active brewery in the UK on YouTube.
I think. Well, I like that. Although I have been very lazy of late.
Well, you've been
so busy.
You've been moving house and opening a new bar, but in general, over the past 5 years, I think it's fair to say you've been the most active brewery in terms of customer engagement and everything else.
Yeah.
on the platform. So I just wanted to mention it really, in case anyone listens to this and go, "Oh, you just sold some beer." No, Lord's Brewing Co. YouTube channel of love, as I recall, is the intro. Go check them out. But also, I want to know what is when the lull ceases and videos start coming back. What is the content from Lord's Brewing Co. going to be?
So one of the things I want to do. So now I've got the bar. I'm going to take you all on the journey of getting the bar from the day I get the keys. We'll do a walk around. We're going to write a list of all the things that are broken, roadkill style, bit of cardboard, Sharpie.
Yeah.
And we'll go through it. We'll brainstorm everything, and then that's all your content. And we'll do all those things. And hopefully, I can keep to a schedule of what we're doing. And you guys can join the journey and then have some input along the way, which would be cool.
Nice.
Because that's the thing. No one ever sees how a bar's put together or a pub.
No, that's true. And I went into a new one for the first time last night, owned by Lincoln Green, the local brewer here.
Good.
And they've done this new place, this big, massive old pub in the middle of a town just outside of Nottingham. And it was always one of those that just for years, I mean, it's probably been closed for 5, 10 plus years at this point already.
Wow, really?
Yeah, but they tried to do the turn it into flats thing, but permission kept getting declined, so it never happened. Thankfully, in a way, because now we've got this really nice bar. But anyway, this huge building, even before it closed for the previous decade plus before that, it was a bit of a dive to put it nicely. Like you didn't want to go in.
Fight some though.
Yeah, a little bit. Had that vibe anyway. Never went in. But they bought it and they've split it down the middle. They've literally just put a stud wall all the way down the middle, and in the front of it, you walk it, and they've kept it as the old pub called the White Lion. You walk in, and you know the pubs. You know the pubs in Peaky Blinders, where it's like you walk in, and it's just like wooden shelving behind the bar. There's no like modern novelties. Like it's really
old school,
just like shaped wood and stuff like that. It's like that in there, button back chairs a lot, and you go through a secret doorway, and you go. They call it their craft range called the Black Shale Project. And you walk in, they've got the Black Shale bar and kitchen, super modern, taps everywhere, banging food. Like, yeah, it's just a really nice concept. Like, you can go in and be an old man for a pint of a handful, and you can walk around the back and get your craft beer delights and some great food.
That's very cool.
So, but the point of that was, it's so immaculately put together. And I'm like, how do you even start with this? Like, it's such an impressive project. Even when it's not to that extreme, because that's obviously it's a big. They've got Heineken as a backer in their live venues, so it's not there's money there. There's some money investment there because they've got them as an investment partner for.
We've already had a few breweries knock on our door, big ones.
Yeah, but it will be interesting to see from any position, whatever the kind of the finished product is, just how you go from bare bones to operational bar.
Well, we're not completely bare bones because there's something that was already there. So there used to be, it used to be the College Arms. That's what the pub was, and where we are was the house, the living quarters for the pub landlord.
Okay.
And they happened to have the cellar under the living quarters.
Oh, that's very convenient.
Yeah, so they didn't have to get up and like go out, open up the pub to get deliveries. They could walk down in their pajamas, open the hatch.
That's cool.
But now that is separate on its own. Somebody over the years has bought it and then split it up into units. So it's just it's very small. It's not very big. It's like a 2 up, 2 down. So, but there's a kind of like a bit of something in there and a good cellar with a proper old school drop. So it's like over 100 years old, I think, the built one. So, it's listed. The front of it's listed.
No,
so it's proper. Although Huddersfield, everything's listed. I think the traffic lights are listed. Some guy went round and just listed everything. I want nothing to change. So just listed everything.
I can confirm that all your road surfaces have been listed because it's bumpy as anything and cobbled.
Oh man, it's bad, isn't it? It is bad.
To be fair though, you've been on our roads today. They're just as bumpy and they're pavement.
There's one where I went down and I went left under an NCP that looked like it was built in the 70s. Most ugly building I've ever seen. It's like an underpass.
Yeah.
Go down and under.
Right.
And the road was like absolutely
Top Gear special.
Shagged.
Yeah. It's bad, isn't it?
And the van was like,
indeed. Right. I think
100 though through there is
it'd be fine. Don't worry about it. It'd be fine. No one died, we think. So,
It's true.
drive safely.
Yeah.
On that note, I think, unless you've got anything else you'd like to say, we'll start to wrap this up because these good people have been listening to us now for an awfully long time. And we've probably bored them to tears.
If you've got to this point, this is what I do in my videos. I say, if you've got to
all
this
the way
point,
to the end.
you get 1,000 Lords Brewing Co. points.
Yes, and points do not mean prizes, but you've got the points anyway, and
Yeah.
that's what's important.
You can now go home, pat yourself on the back, or you might be at home now, and you go, I've got 1,000 Lords Brewing Co. points from John.
There you go.
And grab me.
Fantastic.
Mate, I want to say the tour of the East Wing was exceptional.
With the East, yes,
It was
indeed.
nice.
Thank you.
It's amazing. Loved it.
We'll do the grounds next.
Yeah.
I wish one day.
Can we go out on the lake?
On the lake,
this?
yeah. We'll go chase the swans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it.
Before we do wrap this up, though, real quick fire, little bit of advice for everyone watching, bit of life advice for just a little positivity to finish on.
Don't be a dick.
Excellent. I've got a sticker somewhere that says that. There used to be a download festival. There used to be people that would walk around with packs of stickers, and it would have "Don't be a dick" written on them, but in different, like a million different fonts. You just see them plastered everywhere.
I think the nicer way of saying that is...
No, I think it's perfect.
Yeah, it's just consider the people around you and just remember that your opinion no one really cares.
It's true. Even people vocalising it on the internet, ironically. So...
It's true.
That's true.
It's one of those things. If we all just considered each other now and again, then there wouldn't be half of the silliness that there is.
It's true. Be nice. Don't be a dick. That's my favourite. That's just, maybe that'll be the video title. Who knows? John said, don't be a dick. Go check out Lords Brewing Co.'s YouTube channel. Go check out their website and buy some beer because this 1.3 million 5 gigaflops is delicious.
1.21 gigaflops.
There you go. And we're going to go and enjoy some more from it. But until next time, that really is everything. So thank you very much, everyone. Have a great week. And we'll catch you soon. Cheers.
Cheers.
It's run out. We can do it anyway.
Ka-ching.